Today's guest is the wonderful Andrew Jenkins. In 2024, he became a finalist in Series 2 of BBC's The Traitors, finishing 4th out of 22 contestants. A living embodiment of resilience, at 21 he survived a near-fatal car accident, spending 4 weeks in a coma, and being told he might never walk or talk again. Against all the odds, he relearned to walk, rebuilt his life, and battled mental health struggles in silence for over 20 years. Today, as a motivational speaker and founder of Strength in You Limited, Andrew empowers people to overcome adversity, embrace resilience, and discover their inner strength. I'm Laurence Winmill. Each week, I interview leaders such as Andrew from the world of sport, business, entertainment, and the community, because real success is never a straight line. This is No Straight Lines, Stories of the Unbreakable, and a big warm welcome to the inspirational traitor that is Andrew Jenkins. Andrew.
Hello.
Brilliant to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for inviting me.
Last time we met was a couple of weeks ago. I think it was your potential new venture from a business point of view.
Yeah.
But listen, the starting place for this chat this morning has got to be back in 2024, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Traitors.
Yeah, that's what most people know me as, I suppose, know me for.
God, what an experience.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'll be forever grateful for that experience.
So how did that start then? What sort of, what prompted the application for that?
I didn't actually apply for it.
You didn't?
They approached me.
Wow.
So I had a page on Instagram which talked about mental health and my journey and my story, because I wanted to start talking about mental health before the show come around.
Yeah.
And then I had a message from a casting director to say, your story looks incredible. You seem like a nice guy. Don't know where they got that from. Do you want to come on the show? I still had to go through the process. They didn't give me the place. I still had to go through the whole process, but they instigated the chat initially. I don't watch reality TV, to be honest, so I don't really watch much telly, to be honest, but yeah, they instigated it.
Wow. My God, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's good.
But what an experience.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's a fantastic show. It's just grown. Gosh, it's huge now. I think most people in the country watch it.
I know.
It's great.
What about Claudia?
Oh, she's amazing. You can sometimes get disappointed when you see people on the telly. Meet them in real life is sometimes a bit of a letdown.
Yes.
But it was better. She's such a nice person. She's so nice, down to earth. She's a normal person to me. Her language is terrible, but she's off. Yeah, she's great. And what you see on the telly, it's like she really wants the contestants to do really well. Like she's really part of the team.
So what was the process, the timeline of the process from when they contacted you to the actual sort of production?
About 5 months. We started, I think it was in March time. They contacted me, and then it was August time. They told me only 2 weeks before the show that I was going on there. So I had 2 weeks notice.
God.
So they said, yeah, we want you on the show. And then my conversation with my boss in work was quite uncomfortable. But because I only just started my new job as an insurance broker, and I was on probation for 6 months. So I was 3 months into my probation period. I said to my boss, I need some time off. That's no problem. How many days do you want off? That's the thing. I need 4 weeks. You can't have 4 weeks off. So I quit then. He said, what do you mean you quit? I said, I'm not being a hawk. I said, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. And
I don't want to miss out on it. I said, because I'm on probation. I won't come back in tomorrow morning because I didn't have to give any notice.
Yes.
I won't come back. So we love what you're doing. The customers love you. You're brilliant at your job. Let me see what I can do. So then he had a chat with obviously the powers that be in head office. So they come back and he said, yeah, you're allowed on the show, but you can't mention who you work for on the television. And I said, it's fine. Yeah. The BBC, you can't mention any company names or brands anyway, because the BBC. And I said, I can't tell you where I'm going either. So I couldn't tell him because I signed an NDA.
Yes.
I couldn't say where I was going or what I was doing. I said, it's a big television show.
This is interesting. So you asked for the time off. You're going to do this show. You didn't tell him which show or anything else.
No.
God.
And then obviously when I finished filming, I come back into work as if nothing had happened then, because it's not on the telly until, I think it was January, end of January is on the television. So you're filming, I was there for 4 weeks because I got to the end. And then you go back to work as if nothing's happened. So you can't really talk about it or tell anyone. It didn't happen. It's mad.
So when it happened, when you went and did the filming, then you had to come back to Wales.
Yeah, nothing
that
happened.
NDA, is that telling nobody, including your family? Was it an embargo?
Well, that's how my girlfriend, she'd wonder where I'd gone for 4 weeks otherwise, wouldn't she? And I don't think, I shouldn't be impressed. And my son would wonder where I am. My mother didn't know because she worked in a local news agency where she lives, and she loves a gossip. And if I told my mother, everybody in Llantrisant or everybody where I area, it would have known. So I couldn't tell me. My dad knew, my younger brother knew, my partner knew, my son knew, my obviously employer knew where I was, but I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then that's a train journey up to Scotland.
They flew me.
Wow.
Don't talk about the environment. They flew me. From Bristol to Inverness on a Sunday afternoon. As soon as you get there, then you put into your accommodation in hiding. They call it in hiding then for, I think it's 3 days. They don't start filming until Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you can't leave your room, or you leave your room half an hour a day.
So you hadn't met any of the other...
You don't. No, you don't meet anybody until
My God.
they want you to meet for the first time on camera. So it's like realistic and authentic. So, the one thing like, people ask me, is this scripted? They tell you, I said, no, it's not. Everything you see on the telly is real. They don't tell you what to do, what to say, where to go. Obviously, they edit it in a way so it looks better for the camera, for the telly. But what you see is real. So we don't meet anybody until they start filming.
So did they put you on that train journey as well? The magical train journey?
Yeah, they did.
It's a bit like the Hogwarts Express, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice, yeah. So it was funny. That was my first time I ever really been on camera, I suppose. So I had to walk out of the carriage and they had to stop it and retake it probably 4 or 5 times me walking on, because first time I walked out, I looked at the camera, I said, stop looking at the camera. Second time I walked, it was a nightmare. It was like a robot. It was like, it's crazy, honestly. It's a great
So you're meeting
experience.
I think there were 22 people, weren't there?
Yeah, there was,
22 of you,
Yeah.
meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Strange scenario, really, isn't it? Meeting all of these different people from different places.
Yeah.
Out of those 22, were there certain people, forget the traitors, the faithfuls, but were there anybody there that you bonded with early on that you...
Yeah, a few people. I like to think I'm a nice person. I get on pretty much with everyone, to be honest. And Harry, who was the eventual winner, I got on well with him. Johnny, who was in the military, lost a leg in the I think it was Afghanistan. Yeah, lots of people. Charlotte, Molly was amazing as well. Obviously, they lost in the final and Foot lost. Really nasty situation in the final. Yeah, but I got on lots of them. Zach was a good guy. All people in there were great people, to be honest.
You stay in touch?
There's a WhatsApp group chat, but it's not as busy as it used to be. Or we're all off doing our own thing. When the Traitors comes on the telly again, there's a bit of conversation on there, but then it's done then. It's not. I saw Molly a couple of months ago, I should say. I went to a retreat in the Pyrenees, and I took Molly with me as a guest. So she's a lovely person, yeah.
Well, you did remarkably well.
I'm not good enough. I wouldn't be sat here if I did. I'd be in the Caribbean now, in the summer, on board and in the heat.
So the running order, you got right into the final, didn't you? You switched allegiances as well. You were a faithful. I think you were recruited into the dark side.
Yeah.
Into the Traitors. Yeah. And then you got voted out in that sort of final round. So you finished 4th in the competition, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the 3 that were left were Harry Clark, of course. He was brilliant.
Yeah,
he played it really well throughout.
I don't think he played a good game where everybody else was really bad. Because if you watch it back, he didn't have to do a great deal, because I think when you're a traitor, you're like watching like a bird's eye view. It's like playing chess. Yeah. You're looking at everybody else and you're just playing a game with everybody else, because you can see the whole picture. So when you're a traitor, I'm not just saying because he won it, but it's easier when you're a traitor. Yeah. And all you're doing is listen to other people's rumours and you jump on the bandwagon. So if you look at it, he didn't have to actually say or do a lot, to be honest. All he was doing was jumping on other people's stories and bandwagons, really, and being a nice person.
He played it well.
Oh, he did play very well, yeah. He deserved to win it.
And I've got to ask you, so that final, where it was, my God, I think it was with Molly Pierce, wasn't it? And she was faithful, and Jazz.
Yeah.
And Jazz was banished, so it was down to the final 2. And my God, she just walked off set, didn't she?
Oh,
she was devastated.
Yeah, do you know, she just trusted him, and people saw this romantic. They weren't romantic; they're just similar ages, so they gravitated towards each other. They got on really well in the castle, and before I went in there, I thought, you can't form bonds when you meet people. You genuinely do. You form bonds with people, and she did form a bond. She really trusted him, and she was devastated. Do you mean? And God, he played a great game. In all fairness to him, fair play, yeah.
And what did you say to Harry at the end of that? When he won it, and
we didn't see each other for
that was it,
months. Because as soon as I leave, I don't see anybody then. I don't see anybody then. I get flown back home the next day then, so you don't really get to see any. As soon as I leave that
finality,
castle,
literally, you're gone.
Yeah, you don't see it. When people get banished or murdered,
you're gone.
They're gone. You don't see them. So I only saw them. The next time I saw them was when it was on the television on the Friday night. It was going to be premiered on the Friday night. I can't remember when it was, January time. We were allowed to see the first episode, all of us together in a theatre in London. So
it's not like I'm a Celebrity where where everybody hangs around and waits for the winner.
No, we don't. Nobody sees each other. No, like I didn't know how it ended. Right. So we knew roughly who won, but I didn't know how it won. So nobody gets to see it until it's on the television, the same as you. So I'm sat there on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, the same as everybody else, waiting there, what happened that day? I can't remember what I did 5 months ago, so I can't remember what I said or did. So I'm sat there waiting. I don't know how close it came. I don't know. I didn't know Morley had written his name on the slate and then crossed it out. I didn't know that. Yeah. Nobody knew that until I watched it in London on the day. Yeah, it was a great day. It was amazing.
Winner takes all.
Yeah, she knew the game at the end of the day. We all knew the game at the end of the day. We signed up for it, and you can't take it. It's hard not to take it personally, I suppose, but it's a game.
Yeah, of course. Andrew, you were brilliant, honestly. The series is fantastic. It's gone from strength to strength, isn't it? Yeah. I think the broadcasters, news agencies, they're interviewing you now, aren't they? When with the series that's just gone, and I think for future series you get called in, don't you, to give opinions?
Wheeled out and come brought back out, dug up again and come out. Yeah, but it's, even look at the celebrity lineup. It just goes to show how popular the show is, but the quality of the celebrity they had on the celebrity version, Stephen Fry, and there was some amazing people
Jonathan Ross, isn't it?
Some brilliant people on there, and the next one's going to be even better, I think, as well.
Yeah, Ross was a good traitor.
Yeah, but I think people, have you heard rumours that celebrities are a bit scared to go on there because, especially if they're actors, because they can't work out the traitors are, they're not really good at acting, they might not get other job in the future then. So, so I think it's going to be a good one.
Well, talking about jobs and futures, and all credit to you, I'm amazed that you didn't have to apply, and my God, testament to your Instagram profile then. No, I'm not on, I really don't do much on Instagram. I shouldn't be saying that really in a podcast. But you were obviously high profile on that.
Yeah.
They reached out to you, the casting agency. And that, the reason for using this platform is that there's a backstory, isn't there, in relation to yourself?
Yeah.
So we talk about the platform of Traitors, we talk about your profile. But long before that, many, many years ago, you were involved in quite a serious accident that had a massive impact upon your life and scarred you physically and mentally. So do you want to tell us about that? Because I think this is a perfect lead into the Traitors, how you got there and now what you use your profile for.
Yeah, it's a pivotal moment. It was a huge moment in my life, I suppose, and it changed my life forever. So on the 20th of August, 1999, I was involved in a very serious road traffic accident. I was driving my car. There was 5 of us in the vehicle. My son's mother, my partner at the time, my best friend and his girlfriend in the back, and a lady I used to work with in the back. I was driving on the road, hit a curb on the left-hand side and flipped the car onto the right-hand side, and the car was sliding down the road on the right-hand side, and I went through the driver's door, the side window, so my head and my arm were dragged along the floor for a couple of 100 yards. And when the car stopped sliding, it landed on top of me. So my legs were in the footwell, under the steering wheel. My top half was outside of the car, being dragged along the floor. And then when the fire brigade, the police and everything turned up at the vehicle, they said to the people in the car, asking them questions, and they said, it's too late now, he's dead. So they say I died for 2 to 3 minutes on the side of the road. The fire brigade had to pick the car up to get underneath the car to work on me. I lost 6 pints of blood. I only got 8 in your body. I had to have 2 blood transfusions on the side of the road there and then to keep me alive, give me more blood. Because, as you can imagine, my head being dragged along the floor wasn't a pretty sight. So I'd scalped myself completely. I had no hair, no skin on the top of my head. I had a big hole in my skull on the left-hand side there. And obviously a big hole in my arm as well, which was dragged along the floor as well. So, yeah, it was awful. The injuries were terrible. And they took me to one hospital in South Wales called the Royal Gwent in Newport. But there was nothing they could do for me there. So I had a police escort then down to Morrison Hospital in Swansea because that's where neurology was and plastic surgery at the time. And then I was there and I was in a coma then for 4 weeks in a coma. And while all that was going on, my mother and father, the knock on the door, that no parent wants to say, off a policeman to say, your son's been involved in an RTA, which is a road traffic accident. You've got to come with us now. And they thought it was a little bump in the car. They didn't realise how big it was. And they said, we'll get changed. We'll come with you now. And they said, you haven't got time to get changed. You've got to come now. It's critical. So they were put in the back of a police car in Llantrisant where they live and blue lighted down to Newport. But as soon as they got to that hospital, I was on a trolley going and being put in the back of an ambulance to get transferred to Swansea. Obviously, they weren't allowed to see me because I was in such a bad way. It was a mess. My dad said, can I come in the back of the ambulance to travel with him? And they said, you're not allowed. We got a doctor, a nurse, and all machinery keeping your son alive. And they said, we don't think he's going to make the trip from Newport to Swansea, which is probably, I don't know, what's that, 35, 40 minutes probably. So, yeah, so that was it. It was awful. So in the last couple of years, really, I understand the impact it had on my parents and my family, or the greater people around me, I suppose, how much that must have affected them.
My God, Andrew. So there were 5 of you in the car.
Not a scratch on it, yeah.
My God.
I just had the brunt of it, went through the window. So, yeah, I can't remember if the window open or whether it's smashed. I can't remember that. I can't remember anything about it, really, to be honest. The next thing I remember is waking up 4 weeks later.
So what's the recovery? How old are you at the time?
21.
21?
Yeah.
So massive trauma, life-threatening, came through it. How did you rebuild your life from that point? What was the rehabilitation process?
Oh, it was tough. It was tough. And, my family were called into the hospital on 3 occasions. So I'm not going to make it through the night. Come and say goodbye to him. And then when I started recovering, they said, from the scans they've done on me, there's lots of shadows on my brain, which means dead tissue. So severe brain damage. They said, there's a chance I'll never wake up. But if I do, I'm not going to recognise anyone, walk, talk, use my arms and legs ever again. So I woke up after 4 weeks. I didn't know where I was, what had happened. I had a tracheotomy, tubes coming everywhere, being fed in my groins, and it was awful. Machinery everywhere, beeping, and it was horrendous waking up. I didn't know where I was. Parents were on my bedside, obviously crying. They had to explain where I was, what had happened to me and everything. And then the doctors came around a few days after and said to me, the surgeon, and said, "You're never ever going to walk again." And my first response to the doctor was, "I guarantee I'll walk at this hospital." He said, "You won't." And I said, "I will. I guarantee I'll walk at this hospital." He said, "You won't." My mother said, "I argue." It's embarrassing. The man's going to tell you you're not going to walk again, and you're arguing with this guy with a tracheotomy and like a Darth Vader and everything to argue and telling him you will. And I did. I proved the doctors wrong. I learned to walk. It took me around about 2 weeks. But when I got to bed for the first time, it was really scary. I stood there on the bars, on the parallel bar things, and I literally could not find my legs. And I've trained all my life. I know, I understand mind, muscle, body connection. I get it. But I literally couldn't find my legs. And the physiotherapist had to pick my feet up, put one in front of the other. And after a few days, I remembered how to walk then. And after 2 weeks, I let go of the bars for the first time. I stumbled everywhere, but I let go of the bars for the first time. Yeah, so as you go, the physical injuries were horrendous. They took all the skin off the back of my head and put it onto the top of my head. So I had all skin grafted right across the back of my head. They were going to, I think they were going to, obviously, knee lost my arm. And they managed to move the muscles from this side of my arm there and put it onto the side there and put a skin graft there to save my arm. Yeah, and I had a couple of months later, and a big titanium plate fitted in my left hand and my skull, because I had no skull. So the physical injuries were horrendous, but my biggest battle was mental health, unbeknown to me. I struggled in silence then, like men do, I suppose. I'm back 26 years ago.
And I know these are difficult questions, but when you woke up in that hospital bed in Swansea, I think you said it was 4 weeks after the accident. First things first, you recognise people, you recognise your parents.
Yeah.
And then you got the consultant telling you that you may never walk again. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you're telling him that you're going to walk within 4 weeks. Yeah. So what was going on in your head at that time? Did you have any recall? Did you know that you'd been in an accident?
When I woke up, my mother and father told me, obviously, when I woke up, they were over my bedside. They didn't know where I was or anything, what had happened. So they had to explain it all to me, where I was and everything. But I can't remember much about it, to be honest with you. So the only thing my mother said, when I woke up out of my accident, I asked them if my brother, Carl and James, were okay. Carl and Bug, his nickname is. Bug was my partner's dad, my son's grandfather, and Carl is my younger brother. At the time, he was 14. And I said to my mother and father, my mother, "Is Carl and Bug all right?" And she said, "What are you on about? They weren't there." And my mother said, "You were adamant they were in the car with you." And I said, I was in a dark corridor, a long corridor with a really bright light at the end of this corridor. So I was walking down this corridor, and all of a sudden I heard voices calling me from behind. So I stopped, I looked around, and it was my brother and her dad. I don't know why her dad, I don't know why them, but it was them too. So I stopped, I looked at them, I looked back at the light, I looked back and forth a couple of times, and then I decided to turn around and walk back towards my brother and her dad. And I woke up the next day then. So, but I was adamant that I could have swore they were in the car with me that day, but they obviously weren't. My brother was in bed, he was 14, it was a Saturday night, and her father was in London. He worked for Lang O'Rourke's.
I'm fascinated by this stuff. So when you were walking down this dark corridor, or you thought you were walking down this dark corridor with a brilliant light, were you at that moment, do you think, between life and death?
They say so, don't they? That's what they say. And then since I've last couple of years, I've lent a lot into the spiritual side of things, of frequencies and energies and that sort of thing. And I've seen a lot of spiritual people, and they said they I don't know, true this is, if it's a bit woo-woo, I know, but they said the spirits have said they could easily taken you that night, but they didn't want to. They're on this planet, do great things. So it wasn't your time to go yet. So they put me back to do.
You know what happened, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't like it, but they were speaking to Claudia, weren't they? There was a show.
Yeah, it was my show.
It was a show.
I had to go on that show. Yeah, so, I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know. But I was very close, I know that. And then, it was tough. So then I woke up a few days after that then. So, yeah.
Well, listen, the physical injuries, you still bear those today.
Yeah.
You've made a really important point. And that important point was that you didn't realise at the time that was the start of some sort of trauma that also affected you mentally.
Massive.
And you've been very open with me, because we've met and had coffee on a few occasions prior to this chat. And you've told me that I think it was for nearly 24 years that you carried this, I don't know whether it's guilt or whether depression or whatever it is in your brain that has effectively affected your mental health, hasn't it?
Yeah, but 26 years ago, nobody really spoke about mental health, and my family certainly didn't speak about mental health. I guess I got 3 brothers. My dad's like 82 now. He's old school generation. We don't show feelings and emotions. Like my parents have never told me to this day they love me because they don't know how to show their feelings and emotions. The generation they come from, the way they show their love to me is a roof over my head, clothes on my back, and food on the table. But when it comes to emotions, it was nothing. So growing up, you're told, lots of boys or men, I suppose, when from a young age, you're told to suppress your feelings and emotions. Don't cry. Babies cry. Girls cry. And that's what you're told. And then what happens then? When you get older, men, they struggle to express their feelings and emotions. And it comes out in anger and frustration then. Yeah. You're suppressing it for 20, 30, 40 odd years. And my mother passed away recently. And my dad, you won't see my dad. I haven't seen my dad emotional or upset about it. I mean, and a little bit once, but he said, I can't get emotion in front of my boys. His dad, I don't care. Like, I don't think anything less of you. You want to cry, it doesn't make a difference. But the generation he comes from, he's never heard I love you off his parents. So how can he show his kids? How can he tell his kids? So I struggled there with mental health for years, and I wore a mask. I put a mask on. I go off to work every day with a smile on my face. Behind closed doors, I hated myself. Wish I was dead. Wish I wasn't here anymore. I thought my family better if I wasn't here. I was a hindrance.
Why were you thinking that, though?
I was in a dark place. I hated what I looked like in the mirror. I couldn't accept my scarring. I look in the mirror to get ready for work, and I focus on my skin graft. And people, it's easy for me to say now, but it's taken me years to get there. People say, I can't notice it. And I thought, nonsense, just being polite. You're not going to look at me and look at that. But people genuinely don't care. Like, I only started wearing short sleeve shirts, really, not that long ago. 10 years ago probably. But the first couple of years, I used to wear long sleeve shirts, jumpers. I hate to see my arm. So in the last 2 or 3 years, I love myself again. Not in a cocky, arrogant way, but I'm comfortable in my own skin to accept what happened.
When you had these feelings, you were clearly, I don't know, were you clinically depressed?
I think so. Looking at all the studying and reading I've done the last couple of years, I've worked hard on myself the last 3 years. And I'd lie in bed, looking up at the ceiling, crying my eyes out. I could have easily stayed in bed for 6 months, pulled the quilt on my head and stayed there.
And nobody knew?
No, I hid it from my mother and father. What saved my life, and I don't recommend people doing this who's listening, my son being born, I'm not saying go and have children if you're struggling with mental health, but my son being born gave me a purpose again. And he never saw these dark days. So 2 years after my accident, my son was born. So I was 21 when it happened, my accident, and he was born when I was 23. So I was probably still recovering. But he gave me a purpose in life. I dragged myself out of bed every day to be a good father and a good role model to my son, like my dad was to me. But he'd save my life, I suppose, but not literally. But I think I wouldn't know where I'd be if he wasn't born 2 years after my accident.
So you worked your background was financial services. You worked in the bank, didn't you? Okay, so you put this mask on every day and went to work.
Yeah.
People had no idea.
Nobody knew.
Family had no idea.
My family, I think, I've had a few conversations the last couple of years. They thought I was quite volatile and I had mood swings now and again, up and down. It's quite high or low and things like that. And it's quite sad because after my accident, I was offered counselling or therapy. My family hadn't done it at all. And I was offered it, but I refused it because I thought I was going to see somebody in a white coat, somebody who's going to judge me, psychoanalyze me, look down their nose at me like an academic. And I thought, I'm not seeing that. I'm a macho, invincible 21-year-old boy. I don't need to see that. I couldn't talk to my family. We don't talk about feelings and emotions. And it's only been the last couple of years now I've been bothering with lots of psychologists and neurologists now who've actually explained things to me. So I've learned more in the last 3 years than I have in 26 years. And I wish people had explained to us back then what had happened, but in hospital. I know, I love the NHS. They saved my life, and I wouldn't hear a bad word said about them. It's the people at the top ruining it, but people on the ground do such good work. They saved my life on numerous occasions, and they patch you up in hospital and send you home. They don't really prepare you for what's to come after, the aftermath. The psychological. They don't really support that sort of thing, and that's what I'm trying to do now is help people with that side of things.
We talk about. You mentioned military.
Yeah.
And I think Harry, in fact, in the Traitors, he was military, wasn't he? Yeah. And we hear about PTSD, don't we, with people coming back from war zones, etc. Flashbacks to incidents and what happened, and suddenly, they've got this trauma that they may or may not have diagnosed and learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, have you been formally diagnosed? Was it a PTSD diagnosis or anything like that? Or
the first time I went to see somebody professional with my accident was 15 years later. So I hid it from everyone for 15 years. And then I went to see a lady, and she was amazing. She wasn't what I was expecting. I thought she was normal and down to earth, and she was obviously academic, but she was lovely. She made me feel safe. I felt good. I could open up and talk to her. I could be vulnerable. And after the first session, she said, I know what's wrong with you. And I said, what's that? PTSD and depression. She said, yeah, you probably got them as well, but no, you're grieving. I said, I'm a lie, I'm you. Because I do talk on, part of my talk is on grieving now, but back then I didn't know. I thought grieving, that's when you die. And she goes, all grief is the emotional reaction to the loss of any kind. It's not physical death. You're grieving loss of identity. She goes, people grieve all the time when you retire from work, give up a sport, when you move from department to department, you're grieving loss of your friends and your colleagues. People, when they have children, grieve. They can't go out as much. They don't have as much money, as much freedom. You're grieving your loss of identity. Because I wanted to play rugby for my country, for Wales growing up, I suppose. I don't know if I ever would have been good of, but from the age of 5 to 21, I played rugby. My 3 brothers played rugby at a very high standard. But the problem was, I attached my value as a human being to my achievements and material things in life, which is what a lot of people do at the moment, especially because of social media. But I also attached my dad's love and affection to rugby. Like I said earlier on, he's never told me he's loved me to this day. So I got my dad's acceptance or affection, I suppose, playing rugby. So I'd come home from rugby and we talk about rugby, a trophy, man of the match. And when I couldn't play rugby anymore, I thought, my dad don't love me anymore. Yeah. My 3 brothers are still playing rugby at a very good standard. So I'd see my dad interacting with my brothers. Every Sunday, my mother used to do a family tea or dinner. If you're posh, call it dinner in the evening. I call it tea at 5 o'clock. I'm from a council estate. So if you're posh, it's dinner. But my mother used to do like big buffet, pies, pasties, pizzas. All the boys would go there with their partners and the children. And then all the men would go in one room. My dad watching Scrum 5 rugby on the telly normally. And all the boys were saying, I played rugby yesterday, I scored a try, I had a fight, I did this. And I'm sat there thinking, what can I talk about? I don't feel part of my family anymore. So I withdrew from my family, really. And I just sat there. I'd only speak if I got spoken to, really. So I was quiet for years and years and years. So all they'd ever talk about is sport. There was no other real conversation apart from football, rugby, or rugby mainly. So I couldn't contribute. So I thought, and that went on for years, 24 years that went on for.
So when did, you said 24 years, so pre-Traitors, you talk about Instagram, this, that. When did the penny drop for you that you realised that that there was something else going on up here? When did you realise that?
I started working on myself. I started working about 3 years ago. I started working, 3.5 years ago. I think, I used to push people away, upset people who are close to me, and I think I can't live like this the rest of my life. I started working on myself, doing a lot of reading and studying about different things. But then I started getting stronger and feeling better about myself. So I decided that to track the man down who saved my life. So about 3 years ago, I tracked the man down who operated on me the night of my accident.
Is this Professor Lang?
Yeah. So I went to see him. I tracked him down. I sent him a long email saying, you probably don't remember who I am. And he replied a few days later saying, of course I remember you. Injuries will always stay with me. So for him to say that, and he's operated on thousands of people, this guy is really well respected, not just in Wales, but in the UK in medicine. He goes to Westminster, he's advised the government, and he's really well respected. And he works in the Senedd, down Cardiff Bay, the Welsh Gov. And he replied saying, your injuries will always stay with me. So we arranged to go and see I arranged to go and see him. And I walked into where he is, and it's a really emotional day for me. It's not every day you get to meet the man who saved your life.
Saved your life.
Yeah, I shook his hand and can't get emotional now. And I walked in. He said, "You're a miracle." He said, I can't believe you should be dead." He said, "You should have died on so many occasions. I can't believe how big and strong you are. It's incredible." So meeting this guy made me realise how close I came to hear it from the horse's mouth. I knew I was bad, but I didn't know how bad. So then I thought I could either use my trauma. My trauma defined my life for 24 years, walking around angry, lost my rugby career, my looks, don't know comments, and that my trauma defined me. So now I thought I can use my trauma for good, help inspire the people. I don't want people to struggle in silence like I did for 24 years. So I decided to start talking about my story and my journey. But as a result of seeing him then, I wanted to start talking about my journey on social media, but I didn't want my family to find out third party because it obviously involved them. So I sat my parents down for the first time ever and spoke about the accident 24 years after. We never spoke about it. It was unspoken rule in my house. The elephant in the room and brushed under the carpet. They never asked me about it. They never asked me how I was. They never asked me what happened. It's strange. None of my brothers we never talked about it. So 24 years after, I sat my parents down and they said, "Oh, you changed. You're a different boy after your accident." I said, "What do you mean by that?" "Oh, you're quiet, you're moody, you're miserable." And I don't want to work on myself. So I knew they wouldn't have the answer. I'd done NLP coaching and all that sort of thing as well. So I think, "What do you mean by that?" "Oh, you're quiet, you're moody, you're miserable." I said, "It's funny, whenever you meet anybody outside my house who knows me, people I work with, friends, they say, Andrew's the life and soul, he's fun, he's bubbly. When I come in the house, I go in my shell." I said, "I didn't think Dad loved me anymore." "It was stupid, of course he loves you." I said, "I didn't think it at the time." And then I said, "I thought my brothers are better than me. We love you all exactly the same." I said, we had this weird conversation anyway, but the best conversation I had was on a Saturday morning with my son, Morgan. He was in Cardiff Met at the time doing sports science. He was 22. We had a 4.5 hour chat in a coffee shop in Cathays in Cardiff. And at the end of that conversation, I told him I loved him for the first time in his life. I'd never told myself I loved him. And I also hugged him and I said, "I'm proud of you. I don't care how big your house is, what you do for a living. I don't care. As long as you're happy, that's all I want in life." So I've broken that generational cycle in my family. So I was bringing him up the same as I got brought up by my dad. So now I'm hoping when he has his children, he'll tell them he loves them. So that cycle in my family has been broken now. So it was an amazing conversation. We had such an open conversation, 4.5 hours.
You've done a lot of work on yourself. You've reached out to Professor Lang, who saved your life in Swansea, in Morrison Hospital. and clearly I could see by your reaction that still has a massive emotional effect on you. But it seems to me that you took the decision that you were gonna find the strength to fix yourself. You'd certainly found the strength to fix yourself physically, because you had. Within 4 weeks, you're up and running.
That was easy. The external stuff's easy.
But the mental scars were there and sitting there. And you mentioned the generational thing. I'm older than you, but I can relate to it. I grew up in the valleys as well myself. It was my father was again a man's man and connected with. He was a dominant character and worked underground. Was later worked as a builder before moving into business. And I don't think it was until his latter days in his life, it may even have been on his deathbed when I told him that I loved him and he told me that he loved me. So I get it completely, 100%. It was, and in your circumstances, would I be right in saying that maybe the 24-year period where you were the elephant in the room, where your family maybe just didn't know how to deal with you, didn't know how to broach it with you, afraid of maybe upsetting you, making things worse, just completely not prepared to deal with that? Because I think that's fair, isn't it?
No, 100%. They didn't know how to approach me, and I didn't approach them. And it was like, but I say to people now, I said, when I do my talks, and I say, if there's one thing you take away from this talk today, please talk to someone. And I say, people, 85% of what we worry about and overthink about never comes true. 13% comes true, but better than what we thought. It's something 2% comes true. So all this worry and energy you give this thing, have that conversation. So I spoke to my mother and father on Friday afternoon, my son on a Saturday morning, my oldest brother on a Saturday afternoon, my other brother on a Sunday, my other brother on a Monday. It's like a huge therapy weekend. When I had those conversations, they were fine. They wanted to ask me things, but they wanted to trigger me. Yeah. I wanted to tell them things I was feeling, but they got in. We all got upset about it. I think, God, I can't believe you struggled like that, thinking you didn't want to love the part of the family anymore for 24 years.
And having done that, where are you with that now? Where are they with it? Is that elephant in the room now gone? Is it parked? Have you got more of an open relationship with your dad and your brothers? And
it's tough because it's gone on for so long, this with my dad. I mean, I think it's a bit better, but I only told my dad really I loved him twice since that happened. And one regret I've got is, I talk about this on stage and I find it still hard because I say it's 3 little words, I love you. And I say it to my partner, my son, but to my parents it's difficult. My mother passed away a few months ago and she had a fall the week before she passed. And I get upset again now. And she had a fall the week before she passed. I didn't think she was going to die. I was going to Amsterdam for my birthday. My partner was taking me to Amsterdam for a couple of days on a Saturday. We were flying from Bristol. So I went to see my mum on the Friday before I went. And all that week before, and I was saying, just tell her. It's 3 words. Be a big boy. Put your big boy pants on. Just tell her. And I went to see her on the Friday afternoon. She was sat in her armchair. I leant over. I kissed her on the cheek. I said, see you when I get back. She died the next morning. So I never told my mother I loved her. So I've had peace with it now, but that really broke me for a while. I think I'll have that regret for the rest of my life. But people have said, she knew you loved her. She's your mother, like she knows. And yeah, so so
I get it.
So I wish I told her. I mean, and I never told her, but I hope she knows I loved her if she's watching. But
I'm sure she does, Andrew. I don't know your mum, but the way you speak and your emotions come out in your conversation. But it's interesting that you've made a decision that what happened in your lifetime up until recently, up until 2024, you'd made the decision to sort of engage with those close to you in a different way.
Yeah.
So being open and telling your son that you love him and telling your partner that you love her is a massive step forward, I would suggest, and I'll credit you for doing that. Yeah, I've got to ask you, when you had the conversation with the professor, and then you had the big emotional weekend with the family, or the emotional week with the family telling them.
Yeah.
Your story was on Instagram, clearly, because it was then picked up by this casting agency. Then having the opportunity to get onto national television with the Traitors, has that helped you now sort of build a platform to tell your story?
Yeah, it has, because up until that point, I was working in insurance. I was a commercial insurance broker, so insuring liability, business, buildings like this and big businesses. I was doing that up until that point, and I thought, going on the television, I said to my partner at the time, I said, I can get a great profile, a platform to help more people do what I do now. So that's the reason that's the only reason I'm on the show. I don't care about being recognised. I generally don't. I'm a humble guy. I know where I come from. It doesn't bother me. If all that stopped tomorrow, being recognised, it wouldn't bother me at all. As long as I can carry on speaking to people, helping them, saving lives. And all I want to do is lie on my deathbed, knowing I made a difference to this planet. Him helping save lives and breaking stigmas that are out there, getting men to open up and talk. And it's not a weakness. It's actually brave. I try and break lots of stigmas that are out there. And my story's very relatable. Maybe not the accident, but the rest of it, how I dealt with the accident, is very relatable to lots of people, especially men. So yeah, it's given me a great profile and a platform now. So I managed to leave my job in insurance about 18 months ago, I think, something like that. I left my job to do what I do now full time. So I travel around doing speaking talks all the time.
So let's tune into that then. So you were brilliant on the Traitors. I'm not just saying it because you hear in the interview you were.
It's real and genuine, I think. I just come across as myself.
Came across well on camera. You finished. You were in the final. You come out fourth. Best, as you said at the outset of this podcast. If only you won it, you probably wouldn't be sat here.
Who needs 95 grand?
Today. But it's given you a profile. It's given you a platform to talk about your story. Yeah. So you talk about speaking. You've left your former job within the insurance business. I think you must be busy. You're out there telling your story. You're telling about the accident, the mental health and everything else. Well, tell us, what are you telling people?
I am busy at the moment, but I talk about my journey, my story. But I try and think about, it depends on what the audience is, I suppose. So I talk about failure, for example, in my talk, because growing up, I was so scared of failing. I'd only do something I knew I was going to win or be good at. But I say to people now, failing's not a bad thing. It's how we learn, how we grow. And people say, kids aren't resilient these days. I say, we're not letting them be resilient. We're wrapping them in cotton wool. We're not letting them achieve things or grow or learn. I said, kids don't learn resilience by watching me or watching YouTube. They learn resilience by living life and picking themselves back up. But I also tell them, your people around you will love you exactly the same. If you come first, 10th, at an A grade or an E grade, your family will think the same way as me. I attach my value to rugby. But I obviously now know that's not the case. My parents love me and my dad loved me, no matter if I played rugby or not. But obviously growing up, and for years I didn't think that. But I say to people now, I talk about resilience, I talk about self-worth, don't attach your self-worth to material things. I talk about my accident, I talk about vulnerability. So I've lent into my vulnerable side the last couple of years. And in this country, we think vulnerable is a weakness. It sounds, as soon as you say the word vulnerable, it makes you feel like you're weak and frail and crying. But it's actually not. It's brave and courageous to be vulnerable with someone.
Well, you're one of the most open people I've ever met. I've known you for, I certainly didn't know you when you were on Traitors, but I've known you for, 3 months, 4 months maybe? And you were completely open about your story and you say it with passion and authenticity. You come to terms with it. Yeah. And the platform you created to put this message out is amazing.
That's what I help people. I want people to see warts and all. It's real life to me. There's too much unicorns and rainbows and fluff out there at the moment, and especially on social media. It's just nonsense. But I want to be real. I mean, life is, you are going to have challenges and face challenges in life. It's inevitable.
So what do you tell these kids who listen to you? I'm assuming you're speaking to kids as well, or maybe the parents of kids or teachers.
Talking to children is my passion. I love talking to corporate people and that, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I love talking to children and younger people because if I want to change the culture in this country, I think the way to do that is educate the next generation. School, the curriculum's out of date, hundreds out of date. Why do we teach our kids about life skills, for example? Teach them APRs, percentages. When they leave school, they know if they borrow money, it's going to cost them X amount. Teach them about calories in, calories out. Eat more than you need, you're going to put weight on. It's simple as that. I know you can go to macronutrients, but most people need to know that. And teach them how to regulate their moods and feelings and emotions. I'm not saying teach them how to be psychologists or counsellors, but give them a basic understanding of if they're having a bad day, how to get out of it. Like I get bad days. I'm not a robot exactly the same as everyone else, but I know how to stop it from, like years ago, I'd spiral. I'd be in a dark place for days or weeks, but now I can stop it from happening and I can do something to make myself keep on top of my good days outweigh my bad days.
So on that simple example there then, okay, you where you would spiral before and you want to pull the duvet cover over your head. So how do you stop it from happening? Give us a simple tip. Somebody's down, what do you do? How do you fix it?
I just to take a break and go for a walk. I said get outside and walk. I'm a huge advocate for getting outdoors in nature, and I think one of the contributory factor to the biggest causes we've got are mental health issues and all that sort of thing. We've gone so far from nature the last 50, 60 odd years or more. We're so technology in rooms all the time. We've gone so far away from nature. That's why there's a huge problem, I think. Get outside, get some vitamin D, some serotonin on your face. Like in Japan, they prescribe that to people who've got depression. Don't give them pills like they do in this country. Go forest bathing, go for a walk. And I think everything that I do now has been around for thousands of years. Not reinventing the wheel. Breath work, meditation, yoga, Pilates, moving my body. that's the basic stuff. It doesn't cost any money at all. And it's simple stuff, been around for thousands of years. But
well, you're looking physically fit. You're looking in great shape. So you're doing all of those things, are you?
Yeah, no, I do. I try to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a human being. I lose myself sometimes. I'm so busy driving all in the country, and I'm in Birmingham tomorrow. And 2 weeks ago, I did 800 miles nearly in the car. I was in Leeds, come back, Bristol, Manchester, all over the country. I didn't go to the gym all week or longer than I didn't go for a walk. I was eating junk food. So I started slipping, but I put the brakes on and stopped it from happening. I said, I got to stop. I got to think of Andrew, because you can't pour from an empty cup at the end of the day. I want to help people, but I got to help myself as well.
Well, talking about physical exercise and talking about walking, and you went on a hell of a walk, didn't you?
Just a small one.
You finished the Traitors.
Yeah.
And I think you put your walking boots on. You went up to Scotland.
I did. I Traitors Castle.
And you decided to walk back to Pontyclean, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was for a brain charity. Have I got that right?
It was for Headway, the Brain Injury Association it was, but I did it really for people out there, for lots of people out there who don't believe in themselves anymore, battling demons, being told they can't do something, they're not good enough. You can do it. Just believe in yourself, back yourself, work hard. And that's what I say to kids in school. I said, you might not have the best start in life, you might not be great academically, it doesn't mean your life is over. You've got a pen in your hand, you could decide to change that story if you want to, change that story. It's like I could have easily laid there, I felt sorry for myself and died. There were people in hospital around me who died, who give up on life. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of it's in your head, I think, in your heart. If you want something bad enough in life, go for it. Surround yourself with good people, supportive, positive people. Work hard and go for it. Back yourself. And I lost my self-belief for 20 odd years. I got it back again. I'm strong again now, and I believe in myself.
You look strong.
I'm back. I feel good in myself.
You come across strong in terms of your conversation. You're physically looking great, to say the least. And you look, to me, like a man on top of his game, a man on a mission.
Feeling good, yeah. Feeling good. Life's good at the moment.
So you're in Birmingham tomorrow.
Yeah, NEC in Birmingham.
What are you talking about tomorrow? Who's the audience? What's the conversation? It's
the biggest fitness exhibition even in the UK. It's called the Perform X. So I'm on stage at 12:30 talking, and then Johnny Wilkinson's on 1:30. So I'm Johnny Wilkinson's warm-up act.
He's come to see you, is he?
He's come to see me, yeah. Yeah, no, so I'm his warm-up act. So, yeah, I mean, looking forward to that. It's a big fitness expo, so there's lots of, obviously, fitness people going to be there, I suppose, and the company's going to be there, and yeah, that sort of thing. So, really
we know you're doing the speaking. You're out there. You're a busy man. You're very much in demand. You've got a great backstory. People want to listen to it. You're very inspirational, but you're also entrepreneurial. And you invited me along to see a potential project, but you've got aspirations to do something in the health and fitness world anyway, haven't you?
Yeah, my 5-year plan was to have my own wellness centre. So it's not a gym, it's a one-stop shop for a total body experience, mind, body and spirit. Because obviously I was brought up gym years ago, but the last couple of years I've lent into the spiritual side, breath work, meditation. I lent into that sort of thing. It's really helping me. So I want to do something, a one-stop shop for a total body experience. So when opportunities come around for a venue, it was a prestigious venue, very nice location, up until a couple of years ago. So I've been offered the lease on that. So it's a huge project. It's very exciting and it's a great opportunity. I just need to obviously raise a lot of money to get it off the ground. But I know once I get off the ground, I know it'll work. And this is not being arrogant or big-headed, but everything in life I've wanted, I've got. You know, somebody tells me I can't walk again, I'll do it. Teachers told me in school I'd never get a decent job. I was a bank manager for 18 years, then a corporate banker. Teachers wrote me off because I wasn't very academic. So when somebody says I can't do something, I'll do it. So if I work hard, if I want something bad enough, I'll work at it. I'll work long hours and I'll get it. So I know if I get it off the ground, it's going to work. And I know the location used to have 1,500 members until 3 years ago. So they've obviously gone somewhere. So I don't think I have a problem getting the members back there and opening, because there's nowhere out there like it. You've got gyms out there who've got chiropractors in and physios. You've got wellness centres out there who've got like breathwork and yoga, but you've got nowhere. It's all under one roof. Like I want counsellors in there, therapists who can talk to people. I want a breathwork, meditation. There's obviously a gym there, sauna, cold plunges, everything under one location. It's exciting. It's a big task. It's a big project, but it's going to go. I know it's going to work. I know it is.
Well, you've got to keep us up to speed, okay?
I will.
If it comes off, let us know. Make sure we get an invite.
You got a free membership.
Free membership. Okay. Maybe some classes to knock me into shape as well.
Yeah.
But listen, you got a remarkable story in every sense of the word. The tunnel that you talked about with the light and the dark, and you going back towards the people who are calling you, is, I suppose, well, you're in the spiritual world, you've mentioned it, is the reason why you're here today. But honestly, brilliant on the Traitors.
Thank you.
How the hell you found the resilience and strength to pull through the mental trauma and everything else and overcome the physical injuries that are still very visible, to say the least, is a credit to your resilience, your strength of character. And honestly, You are an inspiration.
Thank
you. You know, you're clearly on top of your game. You're clearly enjoying life. All credit to you. One last question.
Yeah.
When are we going to see you back on the television?
I'd love to get, I got my agent obviously speaking to people at the moment, so I'd love to get on the ones I go on, the SAS Who Dares Wins, because I love that program. I've watched it for years, and that's physical and mental challenge on there. Yeah. The Gladiators, or Hunted, or Race Across the World, they're the 4. So if anybody's listening who's got access to any of them, please, I'd love to get on them, one of them 4 shows.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time, Andrew. Hopefully. Andrew Jenkins, legend, traitor in every sense.
Not in real life.
Not in real life.
Yeah.
Good luck in Birmingham tomorrow, and keep us up to speed with your business projects. Thank you very much indeed for coming onto the podcast. No straight lines. In your case, I think it's particularly pertinent. Stories of the Unbreakable.
No, definitely on a straight line where I am at the moment. No straight lines.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Laurence.
Thanks very much indeed. Cheers.